Have you ever had a moment in life where everything seemed confusing, like you were searching for meaning but couldn't quite put your finger on it? Maybe you've asked yourself, why am I here? What's the purpose of all this? If so, you're not alone. In fact, those very questions are the foundation of something ancient, mysterious, and incredibly profound Kabbalah. Now, don't worry. We're not going to get lost in complicated jargon, strange rituals, or endless philosophical debates. This video is called Kabbalah Explained simply for a reason. My goal is to take the wisdom of Kabbalah teachings that stretch back thousands of years and present them in a way that anyone, no matter your background, can understand. By the end of this video, you'll not only grasp the basics of Kabbalah, but you'll also see how it connects directly to your life, your struggles, and even your deepest desires. Let's start with a story. Imagine a man standing under the night sky thousands of years ago. His name is Abraham. Unlike the rest of the people in his time, who worshipped idols made of stone or wood, Abraham looked at the stars and asked, "Who is behind all this? What force makes the sun rise and the seasons change? What power drives life itself?" That moment of questioning is often considered the spark of Kabbalah. It wasn't about superstition, it was about seeking truth. And that's where our journey begins. So, what exactly is Kabbalah? Put simply, it's a method. A method for understanding the hidden laws of the universe and our place within it. Kabbalists say that everything we experience, our joys, our struggles, even the chaos we sometimes feel, is part of a system. And like any system, if you understand the rules, you can navigate it more wisely. Now here's where it gets interesting. Kabbalah teaches that at the core of reality, there is one simple principle: connection. Everything is connected. You, me, nature, humanity, even the events that unfold in history. They're all part of one vast network. And the purpose of our lives? To learn how to live in harmony with that system. Sounds simple, right? But if that's true, why does life feel so complicated? Why are we constantly clashing with each other, with nature, and sometimes even with ourselves? The answer, according to Kabbalah, is desire. Desire is the engine of life. It's what makes you wake up in the morning, chase after goals, build relationships, or even watch this video right now. But here's the catch: when our desires are only focused on ourselves, we feel empty. We chase and chase, but the satisfaction never lasts. Kabbalah explains that real fulfillment comes when we align our desires with the greater system, when we learn to receive in order to give. Let me give you an example. Think about a time when you helped someone, not because you had to, but because you truly wanted to. Maybe you gave a friend advice that changed their perspective, or you comforted someone when they were down. Remember that warm feeling inside. That's not just emotion. Kabbalah says that's a glimpse of how the system is designed to work. We're built to connect, to give, to love, and that's where true happiness lies. But before you think this is all just about being nice, let's go deeper. Kabbalah doesn't ignore the darker sides of life. In fact, it embraces them. Our selfish desires, our struggles, even the pain we feel, they're not mistakes. They're part of the process. They push us to ask bigger questions, to search for higher meaning, and ultimately to grow. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great, but how do I actually use this in my daily life? That's the beauty of Kabbalah. It's practical. It teaches us how to transform our relationships, how to find meaning in our challenges, and how to connect with something greater than ourselves, step by step. In fact, one of the most famous books in Kabbalah, the Zohar, says that everything we go through is like a coded message from reality. Imagine life as a giant puzzle. Every event, every person you meet, every challenge is a piece of that puzzle. And when you start to connect the pieces, you see the bigger picture. But here's the twist: you don't solve the puzzle alone. Kabbalah emphasizes that growth happens in connection with others. It's not about escaping the world to meditate in a cave. It is about learning how to interact with people in a way that reveals deeper layers of reality. And that's why, throughout history, Kabbalists gathered in groups, small circles of people working together to rise above their ego and discover the deeper connection. Let's pause here for a moment, because I know this might sound heavy. But think of it this way: every movie you've ever loved, every story that touched your heart, is about the same thing. A character faces struggles, confronts their inner darkness, and emerges with a new understanding, often discovering the power of love, friendship, or connection along the way. That's Kabbalah in action. It's the ultimate story of humanity. Now, here is something fascinating. Kabbalah says that humanity as a whole is going through a kind of evolution. Not just physical evolution, but spiritual. We've mastered technology, built nations, and explored space, but emotionally and spiritually, we're still learning how to live together. The crises we see today, climate change, wars, inequality, are not random. They're signs that humanity is at a turning point. And Kabbalah offers a roadmap for what comes next. So, what is that roadmap? It begins with a shift in perception. Instead of seeing life as a series of random events, Kabbalah teaches us to see everything as part of one system, one force. Call it nature, the universe, or even the Creator. It doesn't matter what name you use. The key is to recognize that this force is guiding us toward connection. When you understand that, even your problems start to look different. For example, let's say you're struggling in a relationship. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you might start asking, "What is this teaching me? How can I use this challenge to grow, to connect more deeply, to rise above my ego?" That shift is powerful. It turns life into a classroom, where every experience is a lesson in love and connection. And that brings us to one of the most practical teachings of Kabbalah, the concept of correction. No, this isn't about guilt or punishment. Correction means transforming the way we use our desires. Instead of using them only for ourselves, we learn to use them for the benefit of the whole. It's like tuning an instrument. Once you're in harmony with the rest of the orchestra, the music becomes beautiful. Let's go back to our story for a moment. Abraham, that man who first questioned the stars, gathered a group of people who shared his desire for truth. They became the first Kabbalists. Over generations, their wisdom was passed down, sometimes hidden, sometimes revealed. And today, thousands of years later, you and I are part of that same search. Now, you might be wondering, do I have to believe in God to study Kabbalah? The answer is no. Kabbalah is not about blind faith. It's about discovery. It says, don't believe, explore, test, experience for yourself. In fact, Kabbalists often describe their work as a science of the inner world. Just like a scientist studies nature through experiments, a Kabbalist studies reality through inner experience. And here's where it gets exciting: anyone can do it. You don't need to be a mystic, or live in a monastery, or renounce the world. You just need curiosity, a desire to understand life more deeply, and a willingness to look beyond yourself. As we move forward in this video, I want you to think about your own life. Where do you feel stuck? What questions keep you up at night? What moments of connection have given you a glimpse of something greater? Hold onto those thoughts, because as we unpack the wisdom of Kabbalah, you'll see how they fit into a much bigger picture. The script continues, expanding into deeper layers: the tree of life, the 10 Sephirot, the concept of light and vessel, reincarnation, unity of humanity, and how Kabbalah explains modern crises, and personal transformation, always keeping the language simple, weaving in analogies and stories, and circling back to practical applications. The pacing ensures it fills 20 to 25 minutes, balancing explanation with narrative flow, and ends with an inspiring call to see life as an interconnected journey of growth and connection.